The so-called rule of tincture: metal should not be put on metal, nor color on color. This means that ore and argent may not be placed on each other, nor may any of the colors be placed on another color. Heraldic furs as well as proper are exceptions to the rule of tincture. Application: the main duty of a heraldic device is to be easily recognizable. Certain tincture pairs are difficult to distinguish when placed atop or over each other. Specifically, a dark color is very difficult to distinguish if it is placed on top of another dark color, and likewise a light metal is very difficult to distinguish on top of the other light metal. Though this is the practical genesis of the rule is technical and appearance is not used in determining whether arms conform to the rule. Another reason sometimes given to justify this rule is that it was difficult to paint with enamel over enamel, or with metal over metal. Lawful exceptions: the rule of tincture does not apply to furs, nor to charges blazoned proper. The blazoning of a charge proper can therefore be used as a loophole when its natural coloration equates to or approaches another heraldic tincture it is desired to overlay. An example would be a white horse proper, since without breaking the rule of no metal on metal it could be placed on a field ore, but a horse argent, although visually indistinguishable, could not. Furs and charges blazoned as proper can be placed on color, metal, fur, or other charges blazoned as proper. Simple divisions of the field are considered to be beside each other, not one on top of the other, so the rule of tincture does not apply. In practice, however, fields divided into multiple partitions, such as barrier checking, use an alternating pattern of metal and color for adjacent units. The rule also does not apply to charges placed upon party-colored patterned fields. A field party patterned of a color and metal may have a charge of either color, metal, or party patterned placed on it. Likewise, a party-colored charge may be placed on either a color or metal background. Neither does the rule apply to the tongue, horns, claws, hoofs of beasts when of a different tincture than the rest of the animal, or other parts of charges that are attached to them. For instance, a ship's sable on a field may have argent sails, as the sails are considered to be attached on the ship rather than charged on the field. One important distinction, according to Fox Davies, is that the rule of tincture also does not apply to crests or supporters, except in such cases as the crest or supporter itself is treated as a field and charged with one or more objects. For instance, a gold collar about the neck of an argent supporter is common, but if eagle wings are used as a crest and charged with a trefoil, the trefoil must conform to the rule of tincture. Another apparent violation that is not regarded as such is the very uncommon practice of a bordure of the same tincture of the field being blazoned as embroidered. While well known in former times, this is unusual in the extreme today. How technical the rule is can be seen by the fact that if this were blazoned as gules, a bordure of the field, though of identical appearance, it would be considered a blatant violation. The colors blue celeste and the U.S. Institute of Heraldry invented buff have sometimes been treated as if they are metals, though such a treatment is certainly of debatable propriety. Marks of cadency, and presumably marks of distinction, can be exceptions to this rule. For example, many members of the French royal house had a red border a bend against the blue field. Also, in Great Britain, cantons added to indicate baronetcy of Ulster ignore this rule, otherwise they could be displayed by no one with a metal field. Augmentations and, in theory, abatements do not have to conform to the rule. Another violation which is usually not worried about is a green mount on a blue field representing the sky, and some of the methods of depicting the sea waves of the like are similarly treated. A green trimount also appears in the the coat of arms of Hungary. In this case the field is gules. The rule of tincture should therefore exclude this use of a vert trimount. Instead, there is a trimount vert used in violation of the rule. However, it has been argued by some that the mount vert trimount issues from the base of the shield rather than being a charge on it, causing the rule not to apply. Fimbriation, the surrounding of the charge by a thin border, can obviate what would otherwise be a violation of the rule, as in the Union Jack. The device, a thin band running underneath the chief in French heraldry, can also obviate a violation, as can the parallel fillet in English heraldry. Violations. This rule is so closely followed that arms that violated are called arms fauces or arms a inquiria. Any violation is presumed to be intentional, to invite the viewer to ask how it came to pass. Metal on metal. One of the most famous arms a inquiria was the arms chosen by Godfrey of Bouillon, and later used by his brother Baldwin of Boulogne when he was made king of Jerusalem, which had 5 gold crosses on a silver field. This use of metal on metal is seen on the arms of the king of Jerusalem, the bishop's mitre in the arms of Andorra, and the arms of the county of Nord-Trøndelag in Norway. It indicates the exceptional holy and special status of this particular coat of arms. Colour on colour. An example of colour on colour is the arms of Albania, with its sable two-headed eagle on a field gules. This rule is perhaps most often violated by a chief, leading some commentators to question whether the rule should apply to a chief, or even whether a chief should be considered a charge at all rather than a division of the field. These violations usually occur in the case of landscape heraldry and augmentations. French civic heraldry, with its frequent chiefs of France, often violates this rule when the field is of a color. The coat of arms that appears on the famous tapestry of the Lady with the Unicorn was attributed until now by specialists to the older branch and to the chief of the family La Vista, Jean Iv La Vista, but it blatantly breaks the rules of French heraldry. A new study of the tapestry suggests the probability of the intervention of a descendant of the younger branch, Antoine de La Vista, as a sponsor of the tapestry, and indicates that the incorrect superposition of colors could have been a deliberated choice intended to apprise the observer in an explicit manner that he was faced with the familiar phenomenon of the modifications of the arms by a mark of cadency. The arms of Harvard Law School on a field azure chief gules is another example. An example from medieval England quoted by John Gibbon in 1682 is the arms of Denys of Siston, Gloucestershire gules. 3 leopards' faces jesant a lis azure over all a bend engrailed azure. Cousu. In French heraldry, the term cousu is sometimes in blazon used to get around what would otherwise be a violation of the rule, though this is used generally. Occasionally a distinction is drawn between the cousu of color on color and the saudet of metal on metal, though this has fallen from fashion to a large degree. In Italian heraldry, terms such as per inchiesta are used in the blazons of the extremely rare violations of the rule, to acknowledge their exceptionality or impropriety. Modern design principle. The rule of tincture has had an influence reaching far beyond heraldry. It has been applied to the design of flags, so that the flag of Saxe-Weimar-Eisenach was modified to conform to the rule. Pragmatically, it is a useful rule of thumb for the design of logos, icons and other symbols.